Happy New Year's, happy holidays, everybody. We are now officially in 2026. Holy cow, I feel old. My goodness, as a kid, I would never imagine I would ever get to see what the year 2026 is. Little box office rookie probably thought 2026 was going to have flying cars, robots, and even though we're not quite there, we're getting close, but I cannot believe we're in 2026. With that being said, it's time to get to work. And this week, I am bringing to you an animated faith-based film, and that film is David. Yes, David just actually came out 2 weeks ago. Finally got around to watching it. To be honest, this film wasn't necessarily on my radar. I think after watching Anaconda, Avatar, not really wanting to see Monty Supreme until I got, maybe saw that at home, and also The Housemaid. This film was kind of like, well, what else is there to watch, and what else can I take my daughter to go see? And this film was it. So with that, without further ado, let me just kind of give you a quick synopsis of what the film's about. It was released December 19th, and it's an Angel Studios film. It's an epic animated musical, by the way, that serves as a sequel to the Young David miniseries. So apparently Angel Studios came out with a Young David miniseries already, and this is a sequel to it. It follows the biblical journey of the shepherd poet David as he rises from the hills of Bethlehem to the forefront of Israel's survival. So one thing I'll definitely preface is that this is not really my usual cup of tea. I'm not a big faith-based film kind of guy. I have my own faith, but I'm not one of those guys that love to go to see a faith-based films because I usually kind of find them kind of corny, cheesy, and preachy, and just a little bit. I hate to use the word corny. So this film, though, and I think what Angel Studios has done in the last several years is really try to break that mold of what you think a faith-based film is. And they, yes, they are, I think what Angel Studios is doing is, yes, they are faith-based films, but they're not so preachy and they don't really hit you over the head. I think they really add comical, normal comical moments and just really try to break that norm of what the previous faith films. So I got to give them kudos to that. And I think this film, David, is very, kind of fits that mold too, where I think you could probably, whatever your faith is, most people know the story of David and Goliath. Whatever your faith is, I think this is a film that we can all kind of enjoy and not really feel like it's preaching to one demographic. Maybe, if you're Jewish, Christian, I think you can probably watch this film and not feel offended. So let me dive in to what this film overall covers. It's the life of David, but it's not the entire life of David. It really follows three kind of crucial moments in the life of David. And the first one is, at the beginning of this film where David fights a lion and defeats a lion. He doesn't kill the lion in this film, but in the Bible, he does kill a lion. Also, the second part is, as you see on the screen, David versus Goliath. That's a big part of this film. That's halfway in this, you get to the halfway point. And the way it kind of sets it up is pretty cool as well. And then also, the third big part is the relationship that David has with King Saul, who was the first king of Israel. And you see sort of the initial relationship, how it's all flowery and great at the beginning, and then eventually Saul turns crazy, and it leads up to David being chased by Saul. And essentially, spoiler alert, the film ends with really just King David, or David becoming King David. And so, yeah, that's overall the what it's pulling from the Bible of the story. And then, of course, Angel Studios, the creators of this film, they add their own parts of it that are not in the Bible to kind of give it more of a, they fill in the blanks to make it more kid-friendly, having cute little animals, cute little Moana-type characters, and just kind of fill in the blanks. And one other thing I'll note as well is that this story is pulling from, if you haven't read the Bible, it's pulling from 1 Samuel and 2 Samuel, or Samuel 1 and Samuel 2. I might have this backwards. I apologize. don't want to tick anybody off. But it's pulling from the story from those essentially. So yeah, let's kind of get into what I thought of this film. Overall, I kind of went into this film a little bit, how would I say, resistant, not really wanting to watch this film, feeling like I was going to be bored. And I actually, really enjoyed this film. And my daughter, who is 6 years old, actually really enjoyed this film too, which surprised me. It was able to hold her attention. Now, I wouldn't say it's on a level of Disney animated films as far as story and character voices and actually animation's good, but I'll get to that here in a second. But overall, I kind of really sat back and watched this film and enjoyed it. It really changed my attitude. I went in with kind of a negative attitude and I left with a positive attitude, which is great. I mean, that's like, from a filmmaker standpoint, if you can get your audience to feel like change throughout a film, they're doing their job and they're doing an amazing job. And so I really enjoyed the second half of the film, which the second half of the film follows more of David as an older gentleman, late teenager stage. And so, yeah, I really enjoyed that second part. And I'm looking here at my notes. What else I enjoyed, I think I enjoyed the animation. The animation is actually really solid. I mean, the level of detail, they look like they put some serious money into this film. And I was actually shocked by that. It's very beautiful, and the overall, just how it moves from one scene to another. And I think another thing that surprised me as well is that for a complicated story as the story of David in the Bible, it manages it to, I hate to use the word dumb it down, but it manages to make it very simple for kids to follow and understand. And the story, if you've read the story of David in the Bible, it is not the most easy, straightforward story. It is a very hard story to break down to kids. I think that if you read the story with kids, the one thing they can, understand is the David and Goliath story. But I think the later parts, the relationship with Saul and how Saul was the first king and how God truly wanted David to become king and Saul was not being obedient to God, and it gets really complicated. And I think this film does a good job of really breaking it down to bite-sized ways so that your kids, little kids, all the way up to 15 or 10, 12 years old can understand this film truthfully, and easily. Overall, enjoyed the film. Now, if you're asking me if you should go see this in the theater, I think right now, yeah, if you can, go see it in the theater. I was actually surprised how many people were at the movie theater. My theater had about, it was probably halfway full. There was a lot of kids and families there. And I think they're just looking for something other to watch besides like a 3.5-hour movie. I think, that's a hard movie to sit through with kids. And so this film actually fits the bill for, families to take small kids to. And so it was definitely a great theatrical experience. The other thing I'll say too, the music was really great too as well. There's great songs in here. Just overall, like really good music. And yeah, so it's worth going to see the theater if you've got a family of small kids. I would go see it. It really surprised me on how well a faith-based film could be entertaining. So the other thing I'll mention before I let you guys go, at the end of the film, they did have something interesting. As the credits were came on, about 2 minutes in, the director of the film came on and explained what his mission of the film was. And there was a QR code that came up, and it's basically a QR code to help young, other kids that can't afford to go to the movie theaters to see this movie for free. And I thought that's really cool. It's called the Pay It Forward. So if you go to angel.com /it-forward/David, here you can sign up or, pay a small amount for a movie ticket for any, kid to go see this film, which is cool. Like, it is expensive for kids to go see to the movie theaters these days. And this film has a great message. I think it's worth worth kids seeing this movie and getting a good message, especially something that's different. Like we don't see it that often. So that is my overall review of the story of David, guys, the film David. Be on the lookout for Angel Studios. I mean, if this film did tremendous numbers, and that is just going to give them more fuel to put out faith-based films in theaters. And like I said before, I'm not a big, that's not really I'm not the right audience for that, but I do think it's nice to see other films, not just IP-driven films like the Marvels and Supermans take up movie theater spaces. I like to see the diversity. I like to see Bollywood films in movie theaters. I think that's great for box office. It helps drive people to go to the movie theaters. So guys, this is Box Office Ricky. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope your 2026 starts off amazing. I'm hoping mine starts off amazing. Please like and subscribe. Share with friends if you could. I appreciate all the help as I grow this channel. And the last thing Box Office Ricky will say, in a world where you can be anything, why not be kind to each other? Thank you guys. Happy 2026. I'll talk to you soon.